Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Todd. Welcome to our home in Knoxville, Tennessee. Come on in so we can show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, my name is Todd Richesin. I'm an interior designer, and welcome to our home in Knoxville, Tennessee. My husband, Bobby, and I have lived in this home for 25 years. We're actually starting on the 26th year now. We were living in a condominium in downtown Knoxville when we bought this house. And Bobby had been seeing this house in the real estate books for several months, and he was just drawn to it. And finally we came and looked at it. It had been on the market for 2 years, unoccupied, was totally overgrown, but there was a charm to it that we could not ignore. And we walked in, we both fell in love, saw the potential, and we bought it. Our house on the outside is a textbook example of a French Norman home. And inside, one of the things that we wanted when we were looking for a house was a place that would house our collection of 18th and 19th century European antiques. And so I wanted a place that felt authentic. The authenticity factor was very important to both of us. So we loved the fact that it was a French house and that we had so many French and European antiques. It just felt like a great marriage because we knew that our furniture would look really good in this house. And I think that's something that clients should really consider too as they are doing projects, that the outside looks like it belongs with the inside. And I think we've done that very successfully here. Welcome to our living room. One of my favorite things in this room is the light. I love any room that has light on at least 3 sides, and this room has that. And this room feels very restful to me, and it's a relaxing space, and the light's so good, it just is a feel-good room to me. Here over the sofa, we have this large 18th century painting, and we developed a collection of old Amari pieces and these really pretty Italian gilded brackets. And we were just collecting the Amari. We hadn't really done anything with it, and we had just kind of collected it in drawers. And when we hung this painting in here, we thought, oh, that would be really pretty here. And so we also had a collection of these Italian brackets that we had never hung. And we started with 3, and then over time have added the other pieces. And I think it's a really interesting feature here in this room. My favorite thing in this room is the painting that's over the fireplace. I love this piece. It's a boy who is in front of some sort of a lumberyard type thing. It was done in the 30s by J.B. Shepherd. And when we bought it, Bobby found it at an antique store here in Knoxville, and it was totally dark. We couldn't really even tell what color the shirt was on the boy, and the background was fully obliterated. All we saw was his face, and he was a really handsome fellow. And so we bought it and we sent it to be cleaned, and this is what came back, and it's really one of my favorite pieces. The fireplace here in this room is actually a coal burning fireplace. It's from a company called Home Fires USA. And they make these wonderful reproduction English fire baskets. This one has a little bit of a French detail. It's gas. Really puts off a nice amount of heat, but it has a charm. I always think about a fireplace and how it looks when the fire's off, because the truth of the matter is fireplaces are off more than they are on. So the fire baskets look really sharp when they're not burning, and I think they're superior to gas logs in that way. So we used them in every fireplace here in our house. I have a really interesting collection of boxes here in this room. Some of them are mother of pearl, some of them are tortoiseshell, but like this is a beautiful display box that's mother of pearl, and in it it's got a tortoiseshell and 18 karat gold glasses case that's kind of really interesting and unusual. This is another one that I love. Really pretty English box that has the original decanters on the inside of it. And I love things that have a story like this. It even has the original silver funnel where it would have been filled. So there's just a charm and a little history to these things, and those are the things that are special to me. When we did this room originally, when we originally moved into this house, we started with this fabric. This is a Schumacher fabric. It was something that we both loved the colors of, and so we built the room around it. The sofa was done around it. We did a red chair and another pair of red chairs, but this past year we did a little refresh in here, and this fabric was super expensive when we did it, and we could only afford to use it on this one chair. So this time around, we used it to do a sofa. And so we sort of gave the room a refresh with this sort of teal color that we pulled out of the fabric that we use for draperies. And I love the way the room feels now in its new iteration. It feels fresh to me. And so this is one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite rooms here. And here's the sofa that we did in it. Sofa was originally covered in blue, so we sort of switched around, and we had check draperies before, and now we did these, the blue wool with the patterned sofa, and I love it. The windows in the house are all replaced from when we moved in, but they're similar to what was here before. In the dining room, we did enlarge the windows significantly, and we also did in the kitchen. But other than that, the windows are the size that they were when we moved in. The bunny here by the fireplace is Hunt Sloanham. Most people know him for his wonderful rabbit, kind of quick drawing paintings. And he has done a group of glass blown bunnies where the bunny part is actually done by a glass artist in his town. And then he comes in and actually pulls the ears himself. So he's the one that gives the bunny the personality. This one's really interesting, I think, in that it has this sort of blue metallic, and we loved it for this room. This is kind of interesting, I think, in this room. We have a lot of collections of just stuff that we found that's random that we think is interesting. And in order to keep a space from feeling cluttered, I always try to display that together in a collection. So we did a lot of that here in this sort of cabinet of curiosities. And I think it's kind of interesting, and it keeps our kind of clutter neatly displayed and clean. The room is grounded with this big sisal rug. I added the velvet border to the side because I love to add detail like that to anything that we make. I think the big rug in this space unifies the space. And that's one of the things that I always try to do in my design work is the bigger the rug, the bigger the room is going to feel. And that's true 100% of the time in 100% of rooms. So making the rug room size is great because it does tie together basically 3 separate areas that are within this room. So it's a unifying factor, easy to do, but it has a great impact. I love the quietness of these chairs. These were just added this past year in the Holland and Sherry Tattersall fabric. I love the neutral color, and it's really easy to accessorize those with different color pillows or throws, and they're also very comfortable. So I always want to have a room that not only looks comfortable, but actually is. I love this chest. It's a Dutch marquetry chest. It's 18th century. And it's just a really interesting piece. I've never seen another one that was exactly like it, but the marquetry work is beautiful. And again, these lamps are something that we bought when we moved in about 25 years ago. Just really pretty Amari vases that have been converted to lamps. So they've been sitting here for a long time. This is a really special piece to me. It's a micro mosaic piece of the Pantheon in Rome. It was probably done in the 19th century as a Grand Tour souvenir. One of the pieces in the living room that a lot of people comment about is this really pretty French style chest. It's not old, it's from a company called Cargus, but we love the colors of it. And it's just a really pretty color, and they've done a beautiful job of the finish so it feels authentic, and I think it works really well with our collection of antique pieces and antique art. My personal style is pretty traditional. I'm drawn to classic pieces. I'm drawn to things that have personality, and I love a story. So everything here in our home is something that Bobby and I have chosen together, and there's a memory associated with every piece, and every piece has a story. welcome to our dining room. Um, we chose to set this room up more as it is kind of a pass-through space, really. It's a little bit small for a dining room. If this house has a flaw in it, it's that the dining room is really, really too small. So we took the chairs away and just have the table as a centerpiece. I love this table. It really is more of a center table than a dining table. It's from a company called Alfonso Marina. The top just is really pretty marquetry work, and the bowl oftentimes is just there by itself. We just did some fresh spring flowers for Homeworthy today. It created a small little garden there. The saint, and I'm not sure who it is, I think maybe it's St. Joseph, is something that we bought in Venice that we had shipped back. And I love this collection of Russian crystal candlesticks. I love the way that they sparkle, and just really interesting facet work on those. Another really interesting piece here in the dining room is this pair of paintings that we bought in Russia. That it's just a fun memory of our time there. And we love Russian art specifically, and I think those represent the quality and the detail of Russian art really, really well. This is a great piece. It's a 19th century piece, so it's not super old, but I think it's got great presence. I love the ormolu mounts and the marble top. My favorite chest in here is on the other side of the room. It's actually an 18th century French piece. I love the color of the wood, and the hardware on this piece is really beautiful. But to me, this fruitwood sort of color is always spectacular. So the painting above the chest was actually painted by a friend of mine about 30 years ago. And I was in Paris at the Drouot auction, and this painting was in one of the catalog books, and we saw it in France. And it sold for a crazy amount of money, like over 100,000 euros 30 years ago. So it was a lot of money. And I, of course, couldn't afford that. But my friend saw it in the auction book when we got back, and he said, I can paint that for you. And he did. And so it used to hang in my condo over a sofa. And then in our condo downtown, when Bobby and I first got together, it hung above our bed. And now it's been here in our dining room for 25 years. This other painting, Bobby refers to her as Wednesday Addams. She's actually a really wonderful painting that we got in Paris. She was painted by Alexander Sarris. He was a contemporary of Camille Corot. And if you look at the foreground and the background, it's total Corot style. So you know that they were together some when this was going on. And this was actually painted for the Great Exposition in Paris when the Eiffel Tower was built, and it still bears its salon number in the lower left-hand corner where it was, where it hung there in Paris. And it's in its original frame, which I think is really rare, but it's perfect period piece. The ceiling is actually a wallpaper from Scalamandre from a collection that they did with historic Newport. And so it's actually a copy of a ceiling that's in Newport. That's probably 3D. I haven't seen which house this came out of, but we loved the colors, and these were the colors that we wanted to use in this house. So it added a great detail in this space. The other thing that's really nice about this is at night when the lights are on and you're outside on the lower level by the pool, you look into this dining room window and you cannot miss the ceiling. So it gets great views from here in the house, but probably even better when you're outside. The chandelier in this room is from Neiman Weeks. It's their Italian chandelier, and I love the crusty finish on it. So it's not really old, but it has definitely an old world charm to it because of the finish and the way that they've done it. But it's hung here for a long time as well. But I like the little bit of sparkle that it brings. It's pretty simple, but I do think crystal looks really good in dining rooms to me. So I always like to try to do something that has a little bit of jewelry on it because I think the sparkle is nice at night when you're eating. The rug in this room is actually one that I designed. We use a lot of patterned carpets in the work that we do, and I love an antelope carpet or a leopard carpet. But I wanted something that was a little more interesting than that here in this room. So Stark and I worked together to create this radial pattern with the antelope. The stripes just line up perfectly. They did a beautiful job assembling it, and I'm really happy with it. It's been a nice addition to this room. We had an Ushak carpet in here originally, which we still have. It's in a guest room upstairs, but the antelope carpet, I think, gave a fresh energy to the space. The tile in the foyer and dining room is something that was original to the house. It's actually the only thing really left in the house that was here when we bought it, and we can't get it out because it's set in 2 inches of concrete. It's slate, but I actually like the look of it. I didn't like it originally, and I struggled with it for a long time, but it's become something that feels very grounded. It sort of disappears a little bit, and I like that the color is just kind of very neutral and dark, and it just sort of recedes. So it does give an authentic feel to the house because of the age of it, but it's something that I didn't really like originally, but it's something that I've grown to love. The draperies in here, I love the pattern, but the special thing is the drapery rings. We were at an estate sale one day and came across, it was really a very interesting estate sale. We have several things that the lady had collected through her life. She was an interior designer, and she had worked in New York, and she had really sophisticated things, but she had a box of these drapery rings. We had no idea where we were going to put them. But it worked out when we did our dining room window treatment that we had exactly the right number of those to do for this, and that's where they ended up, and I love them. Entertaining was a big factor in why we chose this home. We had hosted a large holiday party in our condominium downtown. We would have about 120 people there, and it was literally jammed in, packed. You couldn't get through the hallway or into any of the rooms, but it was a fun time and people really loved it. So we wanted a place where we could entertain that many people better, keep them more comfortable, having more space around. So this house worked great for that. Welcome to our sunroom, and here we're meeting up with Bobby.
Hi, Homeworthy. Welcome to our house. This is our sunroom, and this room did not even exist until 2017. So we added on this room, and as you can see, it's very colorful. I like green. Todd likes blue. So we decided to use more green in this room. Also, the colors are inspired by the Greenbrier Hotel, one of our favorite places to go. And you can see the colors on the wall is a pretty azalea color. Is that correct?
Cameo azalea.
Cameo azalea, and that was used in the Greenbrier. And then the wallpaper kind of feels like a tent. So this room is elevated, and it kind of feels like a tree house. So the tent and the windows, when you look outside, it feels like you're sitting in a tree house outside. So I think that's what makes this room charming.
One of the things that we loved is a detail from an old hotel called the Martha Washington in Abingdon, Virginia, that we like to go to. And the windows there go all the way to the floor. So that was a detail that we wanted to use in this room, where it felt like you could just walk right outside. And when we were doing it, we really were unaware of the fact about how elevated the room was above the landscape outside, but it does give it a treehouse type effect. The wall color in here was really a bright, bold choice with the green and white stripe, right? It's not for everybody for sure. But we had seen a picture of a room in a hotel, I believe, that Ken Falk had done years ago. And he had used a really pretty leopard fabric and trimmed it in a contrasting color. And I thought, well, this would be a perfect place for that. And I think that the leopard at the window sort of, the natural colors sort of dial it down a little bit and make it feel more cozy and a little less formal. So I really love that. And I love that we incorporated the green banding to kind of tie it all together.
And another thing that softens this room is the floor. You may think that it's a marble floor, but it's actually a wood floor that has been painted and faux finished marbleized. Even the baseboards are wood baseboards, but they've been faux finished by a friend of ours in Nashville who's an artist. And Todd and I had to actually help him do the floor because it was sort of like Murphy Brown, the painter that would never leave. So we kind of felt like if we did not help paint these squares, then he would be here forever. But it really softens the room. A lot of people don't even know that it is a wood floor that's been painted.
And we did the wood floor because we wanted a piano in here, and the sound of a piano is much better off of the wood than it is off of the stone. It's a softer sound and a richer sound. So that made a big difference in choosing this surface. But I like the playfulness of it also over, a more formal marble floor. It just feels softer to me in general.
And the piano itself is a story because when we chose green for this room, so when we were doing the room, Todd Googled a green chinoiserie piano, and we wanted a player piano. And guess where the only one in the United States was? Louisville, Tennessee, which is like 30 miles from here. So the piano just, it had to be restored. We saw it in its original condition, and the company that does the restoration, they put in, what's it called?
The player mechanism.
The player mechanism, yeah.
And we got to see it during the restoration process a couple of times too. So it was really an interesting process to watch. But I just couldn't believe that, I wanted to use some Asian, some chinoiserie motifs, and Bobby wanted green. So that's when I just randomly Googled green chinoiserie piano, and here it was. It's got an amazing sound if you want to hear it. So, a lot of people don't like to put the player mechanism in it because you have to cut a portion of the piano away. But to me, it just makes it so much easier to use, and we couldn't enjoy it without that. But this particular piano is a Pleyel. It was built in Paris in 1880. And Pleyel used one forest in Italy to harvest the wood for their soundboards. So it's a very specific type of an evergreen tree that they used for the soundboards. And they had a really unique design. This piano has 5 legs. And as a result, the case, the way that they can string the piano is extra long. So the strings in this are about the length of a concert grand piano. So you get a really deep, rich sound out of it that you can't get out of a different piano that would be of this size. The pair of chairs is a pair of chairs that we actually bought at the Antique and Garden Show in Nashville, I guess 7 years ago.
Right.
And Bobby he found this toile from Schumacher, fell in love with it. And so the room was really built around this fabric. And so we just did them in this. And our friend Daryl that did the floor painted the chairs in the gold and green to kind of match. Bobby, you should tell about the bar because I think that's a really interesting piece too.
Yes. Okay, this is a chinoiserie bar, similar to the piano. It's green, but we found this in
Abingdon.
Abingdon, yes. But what's cool about it is when you open it up, it's kind of like a disco show. It's got the glass, both sides. So we don't use it a lot, but oops. Anyway,
it's a glamorous piece.
Very glamorous, yes. This is a little table. This is where we eat dinner every night and watch TV when we're watching the news. So this is just our little dining table here.
Yeah, so it's a little Italian table. Yeah. And a glass artist from Alabama made these beautiful bowls. They're available in a gallery here in town. I really like the paintings that are in here, the Trumeau mirrors that are on the front of the house that has the oval window, because they represent art, and art is something that's really important to both of us. We had seen these probably, 10 years ago maybe, at a show, and we didn't have a place to put them. And when we were doing the Sunroom, we found out that they were still available. The dealer still had them because we saw on Instagram they showed up in one of his photos. So They came from an antique shop near the Greenbrier, and we just drove up there to get them one day, and they're perfect here. And then we found this other piece of art that is also children representing art that hangs above the bar, and he's a little portrait artist painting the little girl. One of the things that we did in here that I think is really unique, it's one of my favorite features in this room, is how we trimmed the doors and windows. We wanted to use, of course, the chinoiserie motif, so I designed these pediments to go over the doors that sort of flare out and have a pagoda type top, did a Chinese Chippendale design on them. But the best thing is the bamboo trim. So this is just a piece of 1x4 flat stock. And then this is picture frame molding. That's bamboo that we got for like $2 a foot. Some of it's gold underneath, some of it's silver. We bought as much as the place had. And we ripped the rabbit off the back and then just applied this on either side. And when it all painted out, it looks like a bamboo trim. And we trimmed the bookcase in it as well. So I love the incorporation of those Asian details in this room. The rug here in front of the window is Dean von Furstenberg for the rug company. It's the silk leopard. And then my favorite rug in here, and I think Bobby's favorite rug in here, is the Nichols Chinese rug that's here in this room. That color green is incredible. It's very hard to find. And this is like, I swear there is a patron saint of interior designers that shows up just at the right moment, because right when we were doing this just sort of walked into our life one day, and we knew immediately that was it, that was what we were going to do this room around. And so it just happened sort of spontaneously. You know, the animal print thing, I think, is sort of a staple in my design repertoire. There's something that is elevated about them. I really like them. And there's something that always feels rich and special about them. So we use that both in a leopard. This particular one here on this chair is from Clarence House. And we used them as pillows on the sofa. It's a silk velvet from Luigi Bevilacqua that we did the sofa pillows in. And I think it's just fun. It gives a playful spirit to the room. I love the color that it adds. The painting, I think, is really a fun thing here in this room. The boy with the fish. You found that
at the Paris Flea Market. Yeah. We were there. I think the room hadn't been finished yet when we found this painting. And
right.
And once again, it was one of those purchases. We didn't know where we were going to put it, but we thought it would fit there. So we went ahead and bought it because we knew we'd find a place for it. And
yeah, anyway, we were worked
perfectly
on this room when we were in Paris, because if you remember,
yes,
this is really interesting. So we were in the design process of the room, and I wanted this giant oval window. We had seen this detail in a black and white movie, and I can't remember the name of the movie at this point, but the window was actually even deeper than what we've got it, and there was a lady sitting in that kind of angle that we have. But the architect had just sent us the facade of the sunroom, and the oval window was tiny, and he said, Todd, there's no historic precedent for one as large as what you want to put here. Well, when he sent that picture, Bobby and I were at the Petit Trianon, and he was standing in front of an oval window that was this size. So I took a picture and sent it back to him, and I said, okay, so there's probably no better historical precedent than the Petit Trianon for a French house. So here we are with a window that's exactly the size of the one that's at the Petit Trianon. Thank you for visiting our sunroom, and next we're going to go on to our foyer.
When we bought this house, when we first walked in, before we bought it, if you look at all this paneling, none of that was here. It was flat, dark paneling from the 60s. So
it was 4x8 sheets of plywood,
yes,
is what it was.
Basically. And so we recreated all of these panels, which took a long time. The metal railing was was just stock railing that had that was about that wide between each
Right.
picket.
And the other thing that we did that I think is really clever here, the stairs for a house this size are not super wide.
Right.
But and when the pickets were set on the treads, it really closed the stairwell down. So when we did the new stair rail, we designed it so that the pickets attach to the skirt board, and it adds actually about 6 inches to the width of the stairs, so they feel much more gracious. And it also impacted the way that the hallway upstairs feels. The same way, it adds about 6 inches of width to the hallway.
And the stair was just covered in carpet, pink carpet. So we had to put all new wood down, and we just continued the heart of pine wood that we used in the living room on the stairwell.
Yeah.
And this painting is one of our favorite paintings. We had this when we were at the condo downtown. And when we had the condo downtown, we were looking for a large painting because our ceilings were like 18 foot high. So we wanted something large on an old brick loft condo. So we were at the antique market in Atlanta, and when we shop there, we usually split up because
I go slow
and I go pretty fast. So anyway, and you don't want to lose out on something, because as soon as they open things, the best stuff sell to other dealers within the first 30 minutes. So splitting up is usually the best way to go. So I knew we wanted a large painting, and then I just happened on this. And so I called him and said, get over here to this booth. And this was the painting we chose. And what it depicts Jesus reading to the elders. There's Mary and Joseph. And it's probably Dutch.
Yeah, it's Dutch. We think it came from a church in Florida, because the dealer
was a Florida
dealer, and he often had a lot of religious pieces that came out of churches in Florida.
And it wasn't in this condition. It just had like a horrible frame around it. We reframed it.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's probably been cut at some times, but because it is huge. And it was kind of like this house, a lot of houses wouldn't accommodate it, but this one did. And at the condo, we were on the 4th floor. To get it up, it would not fit in an elevator. So it had to be handed from floor to floor between the stairwells. Movers was just getting it up, and then to get it back here, had to do the same thing.
Took a little bit of engineering.
But that's one of our favorite pieces. So.
Yeah. And this chest here is actually one of my favorite pieces too. It was probably the first period French piece that we bought, I guess. And we bought it for this spot. And I love the carving on this. The ribbon is so sweet. And again, the color, that beautiful fruitwood color, and all the markings on the top. It's just got a great patina and a great history. And it's right. It's not been modified or added on to. It's got the original feet, which is hard because a lot of times the feet have rotted away and been replaced. So it's a good piece. This rug we bought just for this spot. It's a Bakhtiari, and the colors were just perfect for the colors of our house. And I love animals in rugs, and this has the leopards on each side, which kind of goes back to our love of the little animal prints.
We're the second owners of this house. And the original owners that we bought it from, they built the house, and they used a few antique elements. And the front door and the surround was from a house in Knoxville that was torn down, an older house.
Right when they were building.
Yeah, when they were building this. And also
the pocket doors.
These pocket doors are out of that house also.
So these old elements do give the house, I think, a great sense of history. And you know, we tried to further that with the paneling, with the kitchen details, and the way that we fitted and finished the bathroom. So it really does have an authentic old school feel. I love the gallery wall in here that goes up the stairs. And it started out with just the two pieces in the middle. and then we added a little bit and added a little bit more. And that's kind of how we've done the whole house actually, but it feels really good now that it's kind of complete. Welcome to the kitchen. So the kitchen is a space in the house where we made probably the most modifications to the original plan. It was divided into a small kitchen and a breakfast room. So we just took that wall out, kind of twirled some stuff around. My favorite thing in the kitchen is our refrigerator, and it's here on this wall. So we needed a pantry and we needed a refrigerator, and we couldn't really fit it into the space. So what we did, there's a closet behind this, and we took depth out of that closet so that we could recess the refrigerator here. So refrigerator here, and then this side is pantry. The island is another piece that, of course, was custom for the house along with the rest of the kitchen. But the blue color we felt like was a great marriage between the blues that we had used in the living room crossing over into this space. And so I think that that's a great way to carry your color scheme throughout. And then we used it again with the draperies and the valance that's here in this room. And I love the Rojo Alicante marble that's on the countertop. It's one of my favorites. And we really wanted a kitchen that felt authentically French. So in all of my research, there was always multiple countertop surfaces in true French kitchens. So we did a marble countertop on the island, a wood countertop at the sink, and limestone on either side of the range. And I think it's interesting. It's not for everyone, but I think it works in this house because it feels so authentic. So the breakfast table is, it's just a great old French oval table that we both love. And there's a couple of pieces of art in here in the kitchen that we both love very much. The piece here is from an artist named Jennifer Lashbrook, and it is done entirely with paint chips to create the painting. And if you look at it through your camera lens, it becomes totally clear and sharp. It's a fascinating piece in that the way that it's assembled and the way your phone camera changes it. I also love this piece of the Russian soldiers having a break in an orchard that's over the buffet here. It's really a wonderful Russian piece that we felt like looked great in the kitchen. Buffet, it's an 18th century quartered oak piece, and I just like the scale of it. It seems to work really well here because it's very shallow, and that's oftentimes hard to find in some of these French pieces because they do tend to be a lot deeper. The thing that I love most about this house is the privacy it offers and the space. Once you drive into the motor court, it feels like you're in another world. It's incredibly private, and it just feels like a safe sanctuary. I always feel comfortable here. Welcome to our powder room. This is a small room, and we wanted it to be very dramatic. So we used this black wallpaper from Brunswick and Fee as a background. It too has this sort of Asian motif in gold. And we added our collection of Joseph Delaney drawings in here. So all of these are from a local artist whose brother is actually really quite famous, Buford Delaney. But Joseph's work is very collectible as well. And so these are all nude drawings from Joseph Delaney that are in here. We sort of went floor to ceiling with them. And then my favorite thing that we did that seemed to be perfectly irreverent with all these nudes is over the potty, we have the choir boy and these little nuns paired with our nudes in the bathroom. The black and white marble shower, I love it. It's just really classic and timeless. And I love the curb detail that we did here. Welcome into our den. This is an area where we used to watch TV and have dinner pretty much every night, but now it's just become kind of a cozy room for conversation since we kind of tend to use the family room downstairs more these days. But it's really a cozy space. I love it. We did a stucco wall texture. I love this painting by Mark Beard. of the German hunter in Lederhosen. He's really a striking piece, and he looks, I think, great in here. He used to hang in our foyer, but it's one of those things that we bought another Mark Beard that's now in the foyer, and we moved him to in here. An interesting feature in this room is the fireplace. This is an antique marble fireplace. It's a period Louis XVI style fireplace that we bought in Paris. But we bought this when we didn't even have a fireplace. It was just kind of set up in my office downtown as a faux little fireplace. And when we bought this house, we thought, I think that thing's going to fit in here, because there was no mantle in this room at all. There was just an opening for the firebox, and it fit perfectly. When we got it assembled finally here, we realized it was missing a piece of marble. And so what was I going to do? Because you could never get this. So my dad actually made the missing piece out of wood, and then Daryl, our faux finish artist, painted it. The thing that gives the home a soul is the people who live in it. And if you can't express your personality with your interior, then I think that that's where homes start to feel vapid and don't have a warm, comfortable feeling. I think this house, although it may not be somebody's personal style, I understand that. And I don't care if it appeals to anyone other than Bobby and I. That doesn't matter. And I think that that's the way that interior design should be for everyone, is that your home should reflect who you are, who you want to be, who you like, and you should be surrounded with the things that you love that make you feel good. Welcome to our family room. This is a space that functions in multiple ways for us, because it's cozy, where Bobby's got his sofa, I've got mine, the TV's down here, the fireplace is down here, Jackson's chilling out by the fire right now. And it also has a partner's desk where we can both work. So this is where we work in the evenings on paperwork or drawings or whatever we're doing at home at night. And it's just a really functional space. We did another cabinet of curiosities down here. It was a really designed as a solution for an awkward air duct vent that we could not get rid of. So we just sort of tucked it into, the duct made the room feel low. So we just paneled the top of that and did the cabinetry underneath it. And it really solved that problem. It added scale and volume to the room, so the room doesn't feel so short now. And it gave us a place to put a lot of our collection of stuff. The floor in here is, it's a porcelain tile, but we did it when we moved in so that it felt like an old saltillo tile floor, like you would have in an old French house. And the saltillo tile at the time was out of our budget. So this was as close as we could get, but I'm happy with the choice. It does add a lot of character here, and it works really, really well for what this space is used for. And being right off the pool, it is a great serviceable surface for that. This is a fun little area because you can sit here, enjoy the view of the pool, you know, check your email, all that sort of stuff that we do every day. But it's a fun place to sit and watch kind of the world outside. And this is a place in the summer where the cats kind of hang out here because it's great window to the outside. And in the winter, they tend to hang out a little bit more around the fireplace. But summertime, they're here by these windows looking out at the pool. This is a fun chair. These are from Hickory Chair, and it's covered in a Jim Thompson fabric. I think it's just a fun little modern addition down here. And I try to do that. You know, we try to keep it updated so we don't feel stodgy around here. And a few little pieces of modern upholstery, a little bit of modern art goes a long way to giving you an updated feel. You've seen our family room, and now let's go up to our primary suite. Welcome to our bedroom. This room feels very cozy to me. It is a really gracious size room, but a dark room, you lose the sense of corner, so it does add to the spacious feeling of it. It's kind of a special space that I feel like is very soothing and restful. The leopard carpet is both, I think, stylish, but it's incredibly practical. You know, we have 3 cats, and cats throw up. And leopard is a great camouflage for that. It's clean. You don't have to worry about, there's not anything on it. But sometimes a stain doesn't want to come fully out. And if you're in between cleanings, it's nice to have something that camouflages it. So this is both practical, I think, and stylish. I basically like to do a white bed because I think that is really easy and it looks always fresh and simple. So we made a blanket out of a toile that looks really pretty with our color palette and lined it in a silk and just keep the sheets all white. And this is a fun pillow. Bobby found this at an antique shop. It's actually an old rug. And it had all these sweet little cats on it. And at the time, this was the number of cats that we had had in our life. So, each of them has a name. And so it's just got a little sentimental value to us. This is our primary bathroom. And we wanted a room that felt like the Ralph Lauren showroom in Chicago. So we clad everything in mahogany. We did the simple black and white marble floor, and I think it works great. I love our shower. We use marble slab on the wall, so there's no grout. Even the bench is, just one slab of marble. Heated the floor, even the bench is heated in the shower. So it just feels like a really nice, luxurious space. Home to me means that my family is around. So we live both here in this house and in a condo that is above the Tennessee Theater in downtown Knoxville. And so home, both of these places feel like home to me because that's where Bobby is. That's where the cats are. And so it feels like home because everyone is together in that space. Bye, Homeworthy. It's been great fun showing you around our home here in Knoxville, Tennessee, but it's time for you to go.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.